and corresponding through, electronically. But that's why if you notice, I ended most of my emails by saying, hey, if you want to talk, give me a call.
Give me a call. Yeah, you did.
But,
and thank you for that invitation.
Oh, please. I want to start off by saying, thanking you not only for taking a few minutes of your time tonight live with us to join us, but I wanted to thank you for the book I received in the mail. I mean, lovely book. I really did like it. And I'm not just saying that I liked it because, Joanne, if I didn't like it, boy, I would let you know. I would. But
nothing like the truth, huh?
Yes, it's a fantastic book. Fantastic book.
I'm so happy to hear that.
I read it. It's really more for daddy and daughter because of the wonderful story of how daddy and daughter bond together.
Exactly.
And look, here's the deal. My son is 8 years old, and my daughter is 13. So these type of books I used to read to my daughter. So when I'm reading it, my son and I are reading it together. He's looking at me like, okay, but I'm going to decrease, and I'm going to allow you to increase. Tell us about who you are. Tell us about the book, your inspiration for the book. The floor is yours, Joanne.
Oh, okay. Thank you again, Ted, for having me. But I'm living in California now. I'm originally from Ohio, where I grew up with my mom and dad. I have 9 sisters, and so my dad was always a hero in my eye. And so writing was something also that I was always interested in doing, and the stories that would just go on around our house. But growing up and moving and getting married and having my own children, I would think back about my relationship with my dad, and then now I look at the relationship of my daughters with their dad, who looks at their dad like a hero. And so that's kind of like how the idea and the concept of Princess and Princess Papa came into my head, And like you said, you read the book, and you can see that Princess, she really adores her dad, and in her eyes, she's just a little girl of 5, but everything good and nice comes in a frilly package: ribbons, bows, smelly stickers, you name it. And so she uses Princess Papa to, as her protege, and also to show him appreciation for the things that, he does for her. So it's really also a book that kind of like promotes family unity, admiration between the father and the daughter bond, because it's a strong one. And that's how she sees Princess Papa. He's a hero in her eye. So together, in the secret world, they go to the aid of other people who needs help, until the day comes when Princess ends up being someone who needs help, and Princess Papa has to rescue her. And then also, my inspiration for the book, like I said, it's kind of a secret tribute to my own dad, because although I never dressed him up in ribbons and bows, but he was always the bravest thing around, the strongest. I mean, he could always rescue no matter what was going on, and so he kind of like was naturally a hero in my own eye. So just being inspired by his memories, again, watching history repeat itself. I was fortunate enough to marry someone who took fathering seriously and very patiently and lovingly, and he allows my daughters to do that to him. We have 2 girls. They're twins. They're 11 years old now, and they still do sparkly days with Dad. Actually, they originated it, and so yeah. So so it was fun. It was easy to come up with the idea of the 2 and the partner of the 2 as a team and create a loving relationship, because it's something that's really been a lot of part of my own life.
Joanne, I'm going to take the gloves off now. Off because we now have the warm and fuzzy feeling. And I know you wanted to know in advance, were there any questions I could potentially have? And I held back personally for this to say, where did you come up with Ratty Robert from?
Well, we needed a villain. And so just to personify his personality, instead of just calling him Robert, I wanted everybody to know that he was kind of naughty. And so, like, in the mind and an eye of a little kid, like, little kid 5, somebody's a rat, they can't be very nice. And since per se don't really like boys, I just kind of like chose the name Randy Robert. Other than that, he didn't come from any real person that I knew or any other little kid that I knew, but he's purely imagination, and I just kind of like wanted to make sure that his character and the kind of little kid he was, well known when you just call his name. Oh, he must be a villain, Randy Robert. Kind of like Cruella DeVille. Everybody she's not that nice, and so that's kind of like how I came up with Randy Robert, just to personify that personality.
Joanne, I got to ask you about some of the business behind the Chronicles of Princea and Princess Papa. I got to ask you.
Okay.
So tell me, and here's some of the business-related questions. Tell me, how long did it take you to write a wonderful children's book like this?
Well, Ted, actually, this is a series. I've actually written 5 adventures for Princea and Princess Papa, and this is the first in the series. In fact, my second story it's planned to debut the 1st of January 2016. So I'm going to say probably before all the stories have been written now. I'm going to say probably from start to now, even though the other ones aren't published. I'm going to say I'm nearly 2 years in, and I actually got the first book published. So I'm nearly about I'm going to say shy maybe about 3 or 4 months of 2 years in.
So would you estimate or would you predict that, okay, so now that you've gone through it the first time, you cut your teeth on the whole publishing process and publishing your book, that the next go around or, books 2 through 5 are going to be that much smoother? Kind of walk us through, what did you have, what were some of the pain points you ran into being publishing your book?
Well, when I first wrote this story, quite naturally, I wanted to be traditionally published. And I know that's kind of difficult to do these days, especially with diversity being a problem. And so, I just decided, well, I'm going to just go ahead and do it myself, because when you self-publish, you're head man in charge. You can do it when you want, how you want, and call all the shots. And so I just kind of just took it, pieced it apart, looked at everything that I would need as far as the illustrations and the editor and that kind of thing. And I, after they were all written, of course, and then I just kind of took it from there. And so it wasn't very difficult. I didn't have a really difficult time doing it. I'm not done yet. I still have books 2 through 5 to get out, so I'm still learning. It's a learning process as I go, but it was challenging, of course, and but like you say, now that I've gotten my teeth in and get the first thing done, the rest to follow is always somewhat easier. So I'm just kind of looking forward to it being easier, and as I go on this. I'm fortunate enough to be picked up by a traditional publisher, and I can finish the other books and to have them all out there.
Okay, so now that you did it your way. The first one, mm-hmm. you would prefer books 2 through 5, the remainder of the series, to do it the traditional way of being picked up. I got to ask you this question, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, because both of us on the line, we're both African Americans. Where are the African American authors? What's happening with that?
Well, diversity as a whole, they're not just picked up as quickly and as readily as books with animals or children that what is it? African American children, the children of color. There are just so many fewer books. So African Americans in general, we kind of have a difficult time being picked up by traditional publishers. Another reason what made me think, perhaps I should just go ahead and try to do this myself, because then I don't have to worry about that. And at the same time, go ahead and get my book out there. Whereas now, self-publishing, I think it's going to be the wave of the future, And as far as African American goes with that, it's an avenue. It's a crack in the door for more of us to get our books, children of color, out there, to let them know that that our stories are just as interesting, imaginative, and need to be shared as the others. So, that was a little bit of a challenge. Not that I actually presented it to them, but it was the thing that held me back. I thought I'd do it this way first and kind of like get my feet wet and just to see what would happen. But on diversity, we raise the awareness. Awareness creates change. It might be slow, but it does take place eventually.
Okay. But I do want to commend you on a couple of things, Joanne. Okay. The fact that, number one, it was, this book is no different than anyone else's book that you can find anywhere, whether I go to Barnes & Nobles, whether I go online and purchase my books on Amazon. And I want to let you know, top rate editing that you've done on it. The overall illustration, the visualization behind it was also top notch. And I got to tell you this one, you shared a very positive impression of your life within this book, because I can basically say how Joanne was raised, and I was kind of moved by it, because I was sitting there and I was reading it. I read it by myself at first before I read it with my son, and I said, okay. I said, I can see where this is going, because I truthfully think nowadays, I might be veering off a little bit, so if you need to put me back in line, it's okay. But I have a need to say that we need more books like this. We need more positive role models, especially not just in all. Yes, all lives do matter, but especially Black lives that matter, and the fact that people are so quick to say, "Oh, it's a single family home," or it's this.
Right.
I grew up with two parents. I grew up with two parents. You grew up with two parents. You had a father who worked and broke his behind.
Yes, he did.
And for some reason, that seems to get lost in some of the lyrics that are put out there, and some of in the music and the culture. So I want to commend you on that, on a job well done for this.
Thank you kindly.
I was really, really proud.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to hear you say that.
So tell me this much. Why? So what do we have to do? How do we start this? Or how do we continue this so that we have more books out here like this? How do we? This is a process that you've seen over your lifespan. What are some thoughts on your behalf?
Well, we got to teach. Like you said, it needs to be taught. Like I said, now with our young, like say for instance, my daughters who are 11, I can encourage them to become writers. I can encourage them to let their voices be heard. And now today, really, we don't really have an excuse with the internet. Before it was almost like we were closed out, but with self-publishing, with the blogs, voices can be heard, and when you hear a voice, you don't necessarily see a color, but it's an avenue where we can get in, and more people of color should write and just put their thoughts and their imaginations and their ideas out there, and pretty soon I think it may take some time, but it'll help create the change that's necessary, and and then like I said, we could have more of a share, and again, share the things that we've learned, our stories, our lives, because every life, like you said, it matters, and it has an interesting story to share.
Definitely. I like I said, Joanne, I'm going to go on a limb right now and say, right here, you're welcome as you release the remaining four books within your series. You have an open door to come on the show and talk about each and every book, because this is what we need.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'll be delighted.
No problem.
I was so looking forward to it.
So give us the business behind the Chronicles of Princea and Princess Papa. Where do we get it? How much does it cost? Tell us that type of stuff.
Okay. Well, it's available now through every online retailer, Amazon.com, Ingram, Baker and Taylor, Barnes and Nobles, and then it can even be ordered directly from the publishers at outskirtspress.com/bookstore. It does come in paperback as well as hardback. The paperback is $9.95 and the hardback is $17.95. Also, my website is www.outskirtspress.com webpage/ISBN, and that number is 978-147-8755-289. So it can be ordered directly from the publishers or, again, any other online retailer distributor.
Okay, that's excellent. And like I said, tomorrow your blog goes live with a brief overview of your book. Also, there's going to be a link to this specific interview here so that you can share amongst your friends. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot because this is a children's book. I want us to be able to potentially do a giveaway with your book, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much because, like I said, I had a great time reading it. My son himself read it. We read it together, and it reminded me of the time that I spent with my daughter when she was much, much younger. So thank you for taking me down memory lane.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Be sure to get on Amazon and put that review in there.
I definitely will. So, let's see. With that, we're going to say. So, hey, you're on Twitter. Give us your Twitter address, or give us your Twitter address so we can stay in contact.
Okay, that's Family Values Fund at Twitter.